Short track trends, surprise wild cards, and a made right sandwich? Got your Iowa weekend menu next on Racin-n-Braisin. Well, hi folks, welcome back to Racin-n-Braisin. I am CJ, a lifelong NASCAR fan and chef, bringing you plenty of news and analysis from each race weekend, as well as a couple of tips and tricks from my kitchen to yours. Today, we'll catch up on a busy news week, get you ready for the race weekend with schedule and notes for Iowa, and finally, round things out with how I'm going to tackle the made right sandwiches this weekend to go along with the race. So let's dive right on into it and get to the news. First, Austin Hill is parked. He has been suspended one race following the on-track incident at Indy last weekend with Eric Almirola. As a result, he's going to lose all of his playoff points that he has earned thus far in the season and any other possible playoff points that he may accumulate in the final four races. In addition, he must apply for a waiver to be eligible for the playoffs this year. I have not heard as of the recording of this if he's been granted that waiver or not. To replace him this weekend in the 21 on Saturday will be Austin Dillon. I am curious to see if Dillon's going to do better in the Xfinity car than he does in the Cup car. Next up, Mexico City for 2026 has been removed from the schedule, will not be returning there. Instead, it looks like Chicagoland is going to take its place, so a triumphant return to the 1.5 miles there in Joliet. I know it's a little bit outside of the city, but still, at least NASCAR will be hitting the third largest market that they could possibly go to. A scary moment occurred earlier this week in the sprint car world involving Stewart Friesen. He was caught up in a nasty wreck and broke his pelvis and several other items on his body as a result. He was transported to the hospital, put into intensive care, was stabilized, and moved on over to another care unit in upstate New York. As of today, the latest update from his wife, Jess, shows that he is still in stable condition, and they're working real hard for him. He's got a couple of surgeries lined up. So he's going to be out for a little while, that's for sure. And that just kind of add insult to injury. The appeal that Stewart Friesen had for his DQ earlier this year was denied. So no need to really add that on to the troubles that the Friesen family is facing. Our hearts and prayers go out to them as he makes his way onto a long road of recovery. Just days before the Xfinity Series is set to take the track in Iowa, Josh Williams and Kaulig Racing have parted ways quite abruptly. I guess he just wasn't performing the way that they wanted him to. I didn't know of any off-track things that would have led to this, but his numbers were not very good. The 11 car will see a rotating staff of drivers throughout the rest of the year, starting with Carson Hocevar this weekend. IndyCar, Penske Entertainment, and Fox have reached an agreement announced earlier today. Fox is buying a 33% stake in the Penske Entertainment Group, which owns IndyCar Racing as well as the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So that's going to secure some media deals for IndyCar Racing in the future. I'm curious as to what that's going to do for the NASCAR race later in the season, which is typically hosted by one of the NBC partners. So that should be interesting to see how that plays out, as we are still anticipating the 2026 schedule for both IndyCar and NASCAR to be released. And then finally, on the news side this week, this one's for all of y'all down under. SVG has gotten his first oval win. He's been racing legend cars on the quarter-mile tracks around the Charlotte area, including Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is where he got that first oval win earlier this week in a Legends car. So the man is improving, and no doubt at some point here in the future, he'll be getting himself a win here on an oval in the bigger cars. So let's move on to what the schedule looks like this weekend. ARCA will be racing on Friday at Iowa. They're going to show the practice, qualifying, and race all on FS1 this weekend. So good Friday night action to catch up on. The big show will kick off Saturday for Xfinity with practice and qualifying at 11, followed by Cup practice and qualifying at 1:30, and then the Xfinity race will be at 4:30 on the CW. Sunday, the Cup race will be a 350-lap affair starting at 3:30 on USA. Remember, guys, we are on to a new network once again. So I did mention a couple of changes about drivers this weekend in particular. We also see another driver that's going to be pulling double duty. Like I said, Austin Dillon will be driving the 21 car on Saturday, as well as Carson Hocevar will be in the 11 car. And finally, Ross Chastain will be jumping over onto the 9 for Junior Motorsports. Now on to the track itself. Let's get some notes out of the way and why Iowa might actually shake up the standings this weekend. The top 4 in the regular season points are separated by just 20 points. That is the tightest points race we've seen this late in the season since 2012. Remember, the regular season championship is worth 15 playoff points as they begin that 10-race run. Now, every single year in the next-gen era, someone below the playoff line has been able to win their way in the last 4 races. We saw it happen last week with Bubba. He was right on the line and got that win, securing his playoff spot. Now, leaving just 3 spots remaining, will we see a Cinderella moment this weekend? It's probably not likely. Let's talk about who the ringers are for short tracks. Lately, it has been the Larson, Hamlin, and Blaney show. Between them, they have won 11 of the last 14 short track races. And on those short track races, the last 4 have had green flag runs of at least 75 laps or longer. So we really could see a race of management this weekend, how to manage traffic as they reach lap traffic, and also how to manage the tires. As I understand it, there's going to be a new tire once again here at Iowa this weekend. So who am I watching this weekend? Well, obviously, we are going to be watching Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Ryan Blaney, the short track ringers. But you can't leave out Chase Elliott. He's really good on short tracks. Carson Hocevar, I think, is also going to be one to watch this weekend. Naturally has a ton of speed, and I think does pretty well on the tight confines. And of course, you cannot rule out Kyle Busch. Iowa, very similar to Richmond, and that guy is really good on Richmond, so we'll see how that plays out. Plus, there's a little bit of extra onus on RCR right now after the comments that were laid down by Richard just a couple of weeks ago. And if you're watching at home or tailgating trackside this weekend, I would recommend for your menu, as with on my menu, a Made Right sandwich. It is a loose meat sandwich on a steamed bun, messy as hell, but well worth it. Be sure to grab a cold one to go along with it. I will be showing you guys a quick how-to this weekend. So that's your Iowa preview here this weekend. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can catch the recap of the Iowa race right here on Racin-n-Braisin. Until Sunday, guys, stay happy.